Yeah, I figure since it rained and I can't do much of anything else, it's a pretty nice day today, fairly clear, nice little breeze, little muggy, ain't bad. Yeah, and it's soft. I mean, I'm gonna leave a pretty good divot in here yet. This is down to my cousin's, and it's making noise over there. Probably deer. But I'd come down here and see if I got any weed killed down off of this. And yeah, it looks like it's killed it. Certainly made it sick. Everything's wilted over pretty good. So like I said, I guess it was a good thing I made the effort to get down here last Saturday and get this sprayed. I don't like I said, it's completely died off. I mean, it's pretty damn sick. Hopefully that Roundup weakened it enough and all this rain has kind of drowned it out now that it's weak, and we get a couple 80-degree days. This will be brown and all shriveled up. Some more deer damage there. And this corn's growing. Not too bad. Like I say, when I sprayed it last week, it was down just above my knee. And most of this is over my hip right now. So it's coming. Like I say, this will be the decob here, so half the field I'm in. And you can see, I think that's where I finished up chopping last year, and I ended up getting stuck there. I mean, like I say, it gets a little wet in some spots. See that spot over there is a little bit on the yellow side. I mean, most of the time the silt ain't bad, but like I say, with the rain we had, it's going to be hurting the corn. So, but then I thought while I was down here too, I'd tell more about what I talked about there yesterday. And a question came up I thought I'd answer. But, yeah, like I say, I'm hoping these ain't coming off as just a rant. I'm trying not to make them a rant video, even though I am ranting because I'm pissed about stuff. But I'm also trying to make this informative, trying to explain how things are actually work, at least in the dairy industry, and at least in our part. I mean, different parts of the country do different things. You know, quality programs are all different. Different companies have different requirements. And like I say, I'm just kind of explaining what goes on around here. Say it's getting wet, we're getting yellow leaves. But yeah, the other part, I don't think I'm going to get shut off for the quality. I'm not too worried about that. I think it's under control. Like I said, I had that one high PI count, and it's normal to have one high PI count because things happen. And the other thing that works with this PI count is they used to do 4 samples a month. They basically would pull it once a week. And I think the goal was to take 5, but they had to take at least 4, and they threw out the highest and lowest and averaged the rest. And I think that's still how it works, but they pretty much sample every tank nowadays. But it's not mandatory that they sample every tank, because the high count I got on the 11th, so far nothing's been posted for the 13th or the 15th. So either they didn't pull samples or what. Because like I say, it's time sensitive from when it gets to the lab to when they run the test. So, you know, if it's out of a certain time range, they probably can't run the test. So, and then the other thing was with the conversation I had with the milk inspector is after I lost signal the second time, like I said, I'm not saying he hung up on me, but he did text me back and said if I wanted to talk more, he would pull over and stop. So like I say, he's probably losing signal. I texted back, and like I said, now I'm pissed. I said, what's more to talk about? I mean, you're not going to be able to do nothing. It's going to be what it's going to be, or however, whatever I said. But I kind of gave him a snappy comment. So, and frankly, right now, as far as I care, I don't care if he texts me or what. The only way he's going to talk to me, since he can't call me, unless he's smart enough to go to a landline somewhere and call me if he's having problems with his phone, he's gonna have to pull into my yard. I don't know if I'll respond to him again or not. I mean, that's what I've figured out here before. Part of the problem is I'm an asshole. I just haven't figured out if I'm not enough of an asshole and I let people walk all over me, or I'm too much of an asshole and that's why nobody wants to do anything for me. I think I treat people pretty good. I don't get pissed off or what. I mean, I try to treat people as they treat me, but it is what it is. If it happens, it happens. But a question came up on do I have other options to market my milk? Well, nowadays there is very limited options, and there's benefits and disadvantages to everything too. So I'm going to start back in the 70s when we used to send milk in cans. Now, like I said, I don't know when a lot of these plants were built and when things came online or whatever. I'm just going off of what I know from what I remember at the time. And see, there's probably a lot more out there. But we sent milk, I mean, it's no more than 3 miles from here in Cambridge Springs. There was a carnation plant, and that's where we sent in cans. And I don't remember, I know there's a difference between condensed milk and evaporated milk. And I don't know if they did both there. I think they did at least evaporated milk. I think that's what they did there. But that's where our milk went. And then it was like 78 or 79, they closed that plant. Now I don't know if Carnation as a company is not around anymore, I don't think, but I think the brand is. And so like I said, I think there's still Carnation evaporated milk out there. I've never paid any attention to it, but because I don't buy it. But when they shut down, we got picked up by a cheese plant in Fredonia, Pennsylvania. It's just north of Mercer. And like I say, I'm sure probably at that time there was a lot of independent cheese companies around. And then as normal, like what goes on now, somebody starts expanding, building up, they buy somebody out, then they buy another one out, and then they get a bigger name, and then they start monopolizing everything. So I don't know if a lot of these independent companies were bought out over time or not, but that's where we sent milk. And there is another cheese plant, I mean, not even a half mile down the road from it, Lichtenberg's or something. I can't remember what the name is, something like that. And like I say, there's Farmer's Cheese in New Wilmington. I don't know when that was built. That might have been built in the 80s, it might have been built in the 60s. So I don't know if that was around at the time. And up in Erie, we had Meadowbrook, which was a bottling plant. And like I said, I don't know if all of them were around. But like I said, they closed down. We went to Fairview Swiss. It was like the late 70s. And then I believe it was around 81, they eliminated the cans. We had to put a bulk tank in. Now, which was a good thing, I mean, but they still took milk from Amish down there in cans for years after that. But they eliminated, everybody else had to put tanks in, but the Amish didn't. And that was one of the few places the Amish could ship because they were the only ones that took cans. And then it was December of 1990, they sent us a letter that they were eliminating our route. Now, they were picking us up every 3 days, and what I remember at the time, what they said was they're driving over 200 miles running this route, picking up 9 stops, and picking up less than 10,000 pounds of milk. We were the largest shipper on the route, from what I understand, at 2,700 pounds every 3 days. So, and they said they had enough farms within 25 miles of the plant that they could get 3 truckloads of milk. So that's where we had to find someplace else to ship milk. Now at this time, after I think back over the years, I am almost certain my dad was going through depression. He had some health issues. I think he knew what it was. He eventually was diagnosed with cancer. I think he knew what it was, and he put stuff up, but he basically would sit in the house all day. And like I said, now I think back, I think it was depression. But I was the one that actually ended up calling, and it was one of the milk haulers in the area at the time, to find out about shipping milk. It was MMI at the time. And I mean, this is like the 25th, 26th of January, and we didn't have a market by the 31st. So he got a hold of the milk inspector. He came in, told me what we needed to do. There's a few minor things we had to change at the time. And then February 1st is when I signed the contract. The milk check was put in my name because my dad was decided to do semi-retirement, and he was, I don't know if he was actually at the time yet or not, but he was going to collect Social Security, and then so that's how the milk check got on my name. And then, like I said, my dad was diagnosed like the next year with cancer, and he died in '93. But at that time, you had, like I said, these cheese plants. You had MMI, Dairy Lee, which would have been back in the 70s too. I think they were back in the 60s. Dean's. Like I said, I don't know all the other ones right offhand. But the main three at the time, Farmers Union, and them are the four main ones here. Now we still have, well, over time, like I said, DFA's bought out Dean's, and this is why you don't really have a choice of markets, because Dean's had bottling plants here. They had Meadowbrook and they had Sharpsville, which are bottling plants. DFA has Farmers Cheese in New Wilmington. DFA doesn't have no bottling plants. To get grade A price, you got to have a certain percentage of the milk you're selling going to grade A. So they end up with contracts back and forth. And Dean's and DFA work together, where DFA could take milk into the bottling plants to secure a grade A price, and then in the spring, like when school's out and guys are turning cows out on the pasture and you get that big flush of milk, the Deans could send surplus milk into farmers. So that's how they work back and together. And then at one point, Dairy Lee and DFA got together, because right after I built my barn in that area in the mid-2000s, my milk inspector was a DFA inspector and a Dairy Lee inspector. He just changed his jacket when he came in. They kept the names separate, but they were still the same. They were merged together somehow, I guess. And then they eventually did absorb them farms, and they all become DFA. Now what DFA does, like I say, they own, well, that was the thing. Dairy Lee didn't own no plants. DFA and Dean's owns plants. And what DFA does, if they can market the milk somewhere and get a better price, that's what they do. They'll send it. I've had milk go to Dunkirk Ice Cream. I've had milk go to Sargentos in Buffalo. I've had milk go to Cleveland. It's just where they need it at the time. And if they don't have a place to take it, then they take it down to Farmers. And I've probably 97% of my milk has gone into Farmers Cheese down there in New Wilmington. So now, Dairy Lee's gone on the Fairview Swiss. A couple years after they eliminated our route, from what I understand, they eliminated all routes, and Dean's was supplying the milk. So right now, they don't even pick up their own milk. Lichtenberg, I don't think they actually market their own milk. I think they contract out for it, you know. So basically, you got DFA, and there's still Farmers Union here, but they don't have plants. They market their milk to Middlefield Cheese in Ohio, and they're under contract. Now, this is where it gets problems, because they don't have their own processing plants. You take last year when the COVID hit, they actually got shut off, the farms here. The guys were dumping milk because they couldn't process the milk, and they didn't want it, so they shut them off. Well, they actually have a contract with Middlefield saying that they can't shut them off just because they have too much milk. Lawyers got involved, and they got reinstated. And it's the same way with DFA and me. I have a contract with DFA saying I'm going to market my milk. It's a yearly contract, automatically renews. I can't just get up and go somewhere. The only way they can shut me off is for chronic quality violations, which I'm approaching right now. So, from what I'm hearing now, I just heard this from somebody the other day, that he has, and I don't know if they're Farmers Union or who they are, but he says they have about 6 farms that maybe this fall might not have a market because there's nothing, if it's them going to Middlefield, there's nothing saying that they have to renew that contract. So they could just drop the contract and they have no place to go. DFA doesn't want the milk. They have too much. In fact, my understanding was when DFA bought out Dean's, the Dean's farms were on a month-to-month contract for a year to decide what they wanted to do. They had the option to go somewhere else or sign up with DFA. From what I'm hearing now, they don't even have the option to sign up with DFA. They're still picking up the milk, but they have no guaranteed market for it, right, as it is. They're not under the same agreement like I am. And, well, there are 2 other places. There's Snyder's and Marburgers. They're down towards Pittsburgh. But the closest they come in this area is about 40 miles away. And in my township, there's just me and one other farm. And the other farm is the farm that people want. You know, I mean, he's like 110 cows, but he's got the production. He's got the pretty facility. I don't know if anybody's noticed, my place is a shithole. But he's got, you know, fixed up nice and everything, and he wanted to go to Marburgers. And Marburgers was interested in, and they talked, but what it came down to was a catch-22 basically. It was too far for them to come to pick up his milk, so unless they could get more farms to pick up in the area, it wasn't worth it for him to come, but they don't need the milk. So he got stuck there, and he was a Dean's. Yeah, he was a Dean's when DFA bought him out, so I don't know. You know, he's in a position, you know, they probably wouldn't shut him off or anything. He's the type of guy I want, and he's got the volume enough that's worth picking it up. But, so, and then when you get into the grade B, I just talked to the milk hauler about this yesterday. And this is what's kind of funny about this. I don't know if grade B is actually DFA, but grade B goes to Farmer's Cheese. And I think it is under DFA. So, but if I was to get shut off, if I decided to go grade B, I would be on a different truck. He couldn't pick me up. Even though when he gets down there, the grade B will back right up next to him next to the same silo, and the milk would go into the same silo. He wouldn't be able to pick it up, so it'd be on another truck. But he did say there is one truck that is both DFA milk and grade B milk, because there's no other way to pick up them grade B farms, and they do write it on a separate slip. They keep the slips separate because grade A is a different price than grade B. Now, like I say, there is some benefits to going grade B. Like I said, the benefits of being grade A with DFA is I got that contract that says they can't shut me off just because they have too much milk. And, you know, they get paid better. Probably not a whole lot of difference, I don't think. I mean, I've talked to guys that ship grade B, and they say they're better off taking a little less money because they do take less deductions. The trucking might be a little bit higher depending where you are, or lower depending where you're at and stuff. It all depends. But one of the benefits of grade B, now you basically do have to meet the same quality standards, but they don't hold it to as strict of a standard. I don't know if that makes sense. Like coming this March, we got the big state inspection coming up, because to be grade A, the load has to be certified. And this inspection, they inspect basically by the truckloads, the truck route, and you got to score, the load's got to score 91 or higher to be eligible to go into a grade A market. So they're a little bit stricter on that, but with grade B, I don't think there's that inspection. I mean, you still get inspected the same every 6 months like I do now, and you're still held to them standards, but it wouldn't be certified to go into a grade A market. And the other thing is, I've talked about it before, this the Gold Standard program. I don't think they really enforce that, or that's part of the grade B. I mean, Dean's had Happy Cow, DFA has Gold Standard, and it's all about animal welfare and stuff, and I think it's more for a grade A thing. It's more for imagery for the public. That's another thing that really ticks me off. But so like I say, they really don't have much options. DFA is my best option to be in. Farmers Union might not have a contract here this fall. Grade B is still DFA, but the way the milk hauler even said there too, because I haven't read the letter completely yet, I don't know it fully, but they've gone to a basis, or January 1st they're going to a basis, I don't know how to word it now because I only scanned through the letter. But if you're going to have a daily basis, and if you get over that basis, they're going to pay you less for that milk. It's kind of like a quote, I guess. Like I said, I haven't read the whole thing here yet, but it might get the thing if they have too much milk that they will kick the grade B guys out. So there's no guarantee with a market with grade B. So my best option is to stay with DFA, and like I say, I'm not concerned yet about being kicked out or shut off about the quality, because up until that one count, all my counts have been good, and one count ain't gonna screw me this month. So, and if I can get through this month and next month, then I only have one violation in 4 months, so it puts an ease on stuff. And it's not that I've never got quality awards, you know, like getting 10 out of 12 months, but I regularly hit quality bonuses. So, but like I say, if they shut me off, they shut me off. I mean, I'm not going to make it easy for it. I'm not going to quit. I mean, I'll talk to the grade B guy here. I've thought about it. And like I say, it might be an option, but nowadays, like I say, you got to have a guaranteed market. And so, I hope this makes some sense. I don't know if I rambled too much. I don't like making videos this long, but like I say, I thought I'd come down here, check this corn. Right now, I don't know if I'm probably not going to get fertilizer on this now. It's going to be a little bit too tall for me to get through, and it's pretty soft out there. I mean, I'm going to need probably 5-6 days, 4 days anyhow, before I could even think about driving through there, and it's going to be taller yet. So, like I said, I got enough fertilizer left. I'm probably going to work on trying to get the second crop chopped off here when the weather breaks, and then I'll go in there and top dress some of these hay fields with that fertilizer. Maybe I can get a pretty good third cutting. So, but thanks for listening, watching, and as I say, I got several other things I'd like to talk about, and maybe I'll post them here. And like I say, it's me trying to figure out how to word stuff in my head. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch up with you later.